Welcome guys to my Senate prediction. Today is October 1st and today I'm going to talk about my Senate prediction for early October. After the debate and how it turned out, it didn't change a lot of people's minds, but it showed that Joe Biden can't handle a 1v1 debate. And since Trump put the bar so low for him, it will help us strengthen his fan base, but it will not change a lot of people that are already going to vote for Trump. Since last month's prediction, I have made a couple of changes here and there. And let's start with the solid blue states. Oregon, Illinois, Virginia, all these blue states that are 100% gonna go to the Democratic Party. Let me see. Delaware, of course, Rhode Island, New Jersey. And yeah, now for the Republican side, this is Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, and West Virginia. As you can see, this brings the solid state baseline for both parties at 42 Democrats versus 39 Republicans. Now for the likely blue, which are Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Minnesota, Michigan, and New Hampshire. Almost forgot. There's not much to talk about except maybe like Arizona, since Mark Kelly is pretty popular and he's pulling double digits. Not much has changed in the last month, and Martha McSally has and will flip not only one Senate seat but another one for the Democratic Party, and with the growing demographic change, the GOP will have an even harder time regaining these seats back in the future. Now for the likely GOP, those are Kentucky, Alabama, and Mississippi, which is one of them. Yeah, I think this is a new change. I think I either forgot last time or something. Okay, so for Kentucky, Mitch McConnell is doing pretty well against Amy McGrath and her money. And if you're a Democrat or independent, do not donate here. This is pretty much almost a done deal. And currently the polls, let me see. The polls for Kentucky are putting Mitch McConnell around a +7, almost a +10, so it's going to be really hard for Democrats to somehow win Kentucky. Next, Alabama. It's almost surely going to go to Tommy Tuberville, since it's such a red state, and at the moment, let me look at 538 again. Yeah, that's a B rating. That's not the greatest, but you can see that, for example, like it's between 18-6. There's no lean or like +1 for Doug Jones at the moment. And Mississippi, there's not much to talk about here, but it's only likely and not safe, since we're going to see a much higher black voter turnout due to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. But it's not going to do too much for the Democrats, since here it's polling out. I think it's polling, from what I know, a +10. Yeah, look, so here's a +10 from a okay poll. For me, like anything below a B- is not the greatest to look at, but we need more polls to decide if it's going down or more. But I expect this to be a +10 lead for the Republicans in this race. So this would mean a solid and likely Senate seats to be at 48 Democrats versus 42 Republicans. Okay, here's where things start to get more competitive. So for lean Democratic states, those are North Carolina and Maine. So Susan Collins is extremely unpopular still, no change since last month. Her numbers are still rock bottom and will probably not go up by a bigger margin or any margin at all come election day. Currently, Sarah Gideon, let me see, I think she was polling by 5 or 6. Yeah, right here. She's polling +8, +5, so I expect it to be around that range as well. While for North Carolina, this is a bit of a tighter race at the moment. Cal Cunningham is in a really decent position. He's polling around a 5 to a 10%. Let me check. Yeah, I mean, he's polling between this is from a beat rating +10. This is a +6. So he's polling really well at the moment, and the numbers have not changed since last month. And unless the GOP pours more money into it, which I doubt, they're not gonna have a good shot at retaining North Carolina. Up next are the oh god, my voice. Up next are the lean GOP states, them being Kansas, Texas, Alaska, and the new change, that would be Georgia's special election. Barbara Bollier is a decent candidate for the Democrats, but I fully expect Marshall to come with a victory here, as seen in the polls. Let me see. Kansas. As you can see, it's getting a bit closer, but I will want more polls, and probably a bit higher because B minus is my bare minimum, to see if I put it as a tilt Republican, but I'll see that come the end of the month, since Marshall is still polling around +7. Some of them are even saying that it's a tie, but as you can see, this really good poll from August says +2 for Marshall. So yeah, that's where the race is at the moment. Now for Texas, Texas is in a okay spot at the moment. Corning is in a better spot for the GOP compared to 2018, and it's not probably gonna flip unless Joe Biden somehow wins Texas or something to that degree, which I do doubt unless something big happens or there's a really big October surprise. Alaska, one of the more interesting ones for me. Al Gross is quite the candidate. He is going to appeal to those independent voters and Democratic voters as well. Currently, let me see. From what I believe, he's pulling the GOP's pulling around a 2%. Let me see. Okay, so let me see. From July, they have a beat rating of +6, but just a couple of weeks ago, there was one saying that it's even. I will want one more poll, just one more, either in a couple of weeks, to see if I change it to a tilt Republican. But he will more than likely win, and the GOP will retain this seat. Now for Lofer's seat, let me see. This is also interesting because there are many polls that are saying many different numbers. Let me check that real quick. Yeah, as you can see, Lofer, this one is a BC, so it says even, but it's not the greatest for that. Purdue, let me see. Lofer, there's not too much info, but it is seen that Lofer will have either a lean lead or a +5 lead at the moment. But until more polls comes out, we will see. Now for the new change to my prediction. The new tilt Democratic state is, of course, Iowa. Theresa Greenfield has an even better shot after her debate performance. But it will also depend on how well Trump does in this election. If Trump loses Iowa, then that more than likely would mean that the GOP would lose the Senate race as well. Now for the GOP tilt seats. They are Montana, South Carolina. Yes, that's the new one. I will add to the tilt seats. Georgia, and yep, that's it. I believe that all these tilt seats are basically coin tosses at the moment. And probably I would say either South Carolina or Georgia are the best ones that are gonna be kept by the GOP at the moment. Okay, so in Montana, in the Battle of the Steves, it's a hard one to call since both candidates are pretty good. I do believe if the polls are going to be nationally the same for the election and the Senate, it will be just a lean, or I mean a tilt red, unless there's an even bigger Democratic wave here. Unless Trump blows the polls and his numbers go down, which would mean he would drag the GOP down with him. That's the only time I would see Montana flipping, or on any of these states. Now for Georgia, Jon Ossoff has done well and will put up a really good fight against the Republicans. Now, this race is going to be a bit tighter than Georgia's special election, and currently the polls are just switching back and forth, back and forth. But overall, they give David Perdue and the GOP a better shot. While for Lindsey Graham in South Carolina, it's projected to be a much closer battle than many people thought at the start of the year. If I'm not mistaken, South Carolina was either a safe state or a likely state. Lindsey Graham's polling numbers have gone down a bit since last month. Now, either the polls are leaning for Harrison or Graham by either 1 or 3% points. Jamie Harrison and the Democratic Party have poured so much money here. And the more money they pour into South Carolina, the more likely they're going to win. Especially with the ads against Lindsey Graham, which are really strong since they show how he has flip-flopped on issues like SCOTUS and if the vacancy should be filled in an election year. So, as things stand, the Democrats are at 51 versus 49 Senate seats. It seems like they are going to keep the national lead, both for the presidential race and the Senate race. And maybe even grab a couple more seats than what was expected back at the beginning of the year. This would give Democrats a slight control of the Senate. Unlike last month, they would only need an upset or two in either Montana, Georgia, or South Carolina to be able to pass a decent amount of legislations. And as it stands, Joe Biden is pulling around a 7 to 8 point lead up against Donald Trump, and that's gonna also pour into the Senate race as well. It's looking better and better for the Democratic Party, and as long as Joe Biden is able to have another okay or even a better debate, his fan base will only get more stronger and just more stronger overall, and make the election even harder for Trump. Okay, yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. Send me feedback if you want, and see you next time.